When 28-year-old Jasmine Cole moves to Austin to start fresh after losing her job and ending a toxic relationship, the last thing she expects is to find her college sweetheart living right next door. Roman Vega, the boy who disappeared without a word 7 years ago, leaving her heartbroken and questioning everything, is now a wealthy tech investor who seems to have orchestrated her entire move to Austin. What starts as a shocking reunion quickly becomes a complex web of corporate sabotage, family secrets, and second chances that will test whether some wounds can truly heal. This is a story about love lost and found, the power of forgiveness, and discovering that sometimes the person you're meant to be with has been waiting next door all along. Before we start this story, comment below from where you are watching us. Jasmine Cole stared at the empty walls of her new townhouse in Austin, Texas. At 28, she never thought she'd be starting over like this. The moving boxes scattered across the hardwood floor reminded her of how quickly life could change. 6 months ago, I had a steady job and a boyfriend, she said to herself, hanging up a framed certificate that read, Jasmine Cole, Excellence in Graphic Design. Now look at me. The layoff had come without warning. Entire departments cut overnight. Her relationship with Derek had been on life support for months before that, but losing her job was the final push she needed to end things. You need to focus on yourself right now, her mother had told her during their weekly phone call. That's why moving to Austin is a good idea, no distractions. Jasmine unpacked her laptop and set it on the kitchen counter. Her freelance graphic design business was slowly gaining clients, but she needed more if she was going to make the rent on this place. It was modest but charming, with a small yard and a front porch perfect for morning coffee. The sound of a car engine caught her attention. Through her kitchen window, she watched a sleek black Tesla pull into the driveway next door. The house on that side was twice the size of hers, with a security gate and what looked like a rooftop garden. Must be nice, she muttered, turning away from the window. That evening, Jasmine sat on her front porch with a glass of wine, enjoying the mild Texas spring air. Her phone buzzed with a text from her best friend Tanya. How's the new place? Any cute neighbors? Jasmine smiled and typed back. Place is good, haven't met any neighbors yet. Just as she hit send, motion sensor lights came on next door. She glanced up and saw a tall figure walking toward the mailbox. Even in the dim light, there was something familiar about the way he moved. Jasmine squinted in the darkness. She couldn't make out his face, but something inside her stirred, a memory trying to surface. She shook her head. Get it together, Jasmine. You're seeing things. The next morning, Jasmine decided to check her own mailbox, hoping the previous tenant's mail had been forwarded. As she stepped outside, the neighbor's door opened at the same time, and suddenly, there he was. Roman Vega, the same Roman who had held her through thunderstorms during sophomore year, the same Roman who knew every song on her playlist, the same Roman who promised forever, then disappeared without a word during senior year of college. Their eyes met across their driveways, and the world stopped spinning. Roman froze, his hand still on his doorknob. Jasmine? Her heart hammered in her chest. She couldn't move, couldn't speak. All she could do was stare at the ghost from her past. He looked different now, more polished. His once wild curls were now neatly trimmed, his college t-shirts replaced by what looked like a custom-tailored shirt. But those eyes, they were exactly the same. I can't believe it's you, he said, taking a step toward her. Jasmine finally found her voice. What are you doing here? Roman's face broke into a smile. I live here. What are you doing here? I just moved in, she said, gesturing weakly to her townhouse. You're my new neighbor. His voice was filled with wonder. Jasmine felt like she might pass out. This couldn't be happening. Not after all these years. Not after all the tears. Not after she'd finally stopped scanning crowds for his face. I have to go, she said, turning quickly and heading back inside without checking her mail. Once inside, she leaned against the door, breathing hard. Roman Vega, her Roman, the boy who'd taught her to drive stick shift, the boy who'd stayed up all night helping her study for finals, the boy who'd vanished without a trace, leaving her heart in pieces. This is not happening, she whispered, sliding down to sit on the floor. Her phone rang. It was Tanya. You are not going to believe who lives next door, Jasmine said when she answered. Who? Roman. There was silence on the other end. Then, Roman? The Roman? College Roman? Broke your heart and disappeared Roman? That's the one. Oh my God, Jasmine. What did he say? What did you say? Nothing. I ran inside. Girl, you need to talk to him, find out where he went, what happened. Jasmine shook her head, even though Tanya couldn't see her. No, I don't need to know. It doesn't matter anymore. But it did matter, and they both knew it. Later that afternoon, the doorbell rang. Jasmine peered through the peephole and saw Roman standing there, holding a small plant in a ceramic pot. She took a deep breath and opened the door. "Housewarming gift," he said, offering the plant. "It's a peace lily, low maintenance." Jasmine didn't take it. "What do you want, Roman?" His smile faded. "I thought maybe we could talk." "About what?" "About how you disappeared without a word? About how I called and you never answered? About how I had to walk across that graduation stage alone when we'd planned to do it together?" Roman's eyes filled with pain. "Jasmine, I can explain." "I don't need your explanation. It's been 7 years, Roman, 7 years. Please, just give me 5 minutes." She crossed her arms. "You had plenty of time to talk 7 years ago." Roman set the plant down on her porch. "I'll leave this here. And Jasmine, I live at number 48, if you change your mind." She watched him walk away, his shoulders slumped. Once he was gone, she picked up the peace lily and brought it inside. That night, she couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, memories flooding back. Roman teaching her to swim in the lake near campus. Roman bringing her soup when she had the flu. Roman promising they'd move to New York together after graduation. She grabbed her phone and searched his name. Dozens of articles appeared. Tech Wunderkind Roman Vega launches new investment fund. 30 under 30. How Roman Vega built a tech empire. Austin's most eligible bachelor. Roman Vega's rise to the top. The photos showed him in expensive suits, at charity galas, standing next to celebrities. He was unrecognizable from the boy who once wore the same hoodie 3 days in a row because he said it smelled like her perfume. In the morning, she spotted him leaving for work in his Tesla. He waved. She pretended not to see. 2 days later, her internet went out while she was in the middle of a client meeting. She frantically tried to restart her router, but nothing worked. Her doorbell rang. It was Roman. "I noticed your Wi-Fi signal dropped," he said. "I thought you might need help." "How do you know my Wi-Fi dropped?" He looked embarrassed. "I'm in tech, remember? I was checking my own network and saw yours disappear." Despite herself, Jasmine stepped aside to let him in. "I'm in the middle of a client meeting. I need to get back online." Roman followed her to the kitchen where her laptop sat. "Let me take a look." His fingers moved quickly over the keyboard. "Your service provider is having an outage. You can use mine until it's fixed." He showed her how to connect to his network, and within minutes she was back online. She thanked him stiffly, expecting him to leave. Instead, he lingered, looking around at her half-unpacked boxes. "You still have your college painting stuff," he said, nodding toward her easel in the corner. "I don't paint much anymore. Too busy with work." "That's a shame. You were so talented." Jasmine felt a flash of anger. "Oh, you don't know anything about me anymore, Roman." His face fell. "You're right, I don't." He handed her a business card. "This has my number, in case the internet goes out again." After he left, Jasmine resumed her client call, but she couldn't focus. Roman's presence had stirred up too many old feelings. Anger, hurt, and something else she didn't want to name. That evening, she sat on her porch with a glass of wine, staring at his house. Lights were on upstairs. Was he alone? Did he have someone in his life? Why did she even care? A woman walking a dog passed by. "Evening," she called. Jasmine nodded hello. "You must be new," the woman said, stopping. "I'm Elaine. I live 3 doors down." "Jasmine, just moved in last week." Elaine smiled. "Welcome to the neighborhood. We're a friendly bunch, except for Mr. Privacy over there." She nodded toward Roman's house. "You mean Roman?" Elaine's eyebrows shot up. "You know Roman Vega?" Jasmine hesitated. "We went to college together." "Well, that's more than most of us know about him. He moved in about 2 years ago, keeps to himself. People say he's some sort of tech genius, made millions with an app or something." "Something like that," Jasmine murmured. "Well, there's a neighborhood barbecue this Saturday at the community center. You should come. Meet everyone." After Elaine left, Jasmine couldn't stop thinking about what she'd said. Roman had been living here for 2 years. He'd built a life, a career, a fortune, all while she'd been struggling to get over him. The unfairness of it all hit her hard. The next morning, she found a cup of coffee on her porch with a note. "Your favorite. Dark roast, 1 sugar. R." He remembered how she took her coffee. After 7 years, she left the cup untouched. That afternoon, while working on a logo design, her doorbell rang again. This time, it was a delivery man with a package. "Wrong address," she said, checking the label. "This is for number 48. "The guy said to leave it here," the delivery man insisted. Said you'd know what to do with it. Confused, Jasmine signed for the package. It was heavy. After the delivery man left, she examined it more closely. The sender was vintage vinyl records. Despite herself, curiosity won out. She carried the package next door and rang Roman's bell. He answered immediately, as if he'd been waiting. "You got my package." "There was a mix-up with the delivery," she said, holding it out. "No mix-up, it's for you. I didn't order anything." Roman took the package and opened it. Inside was a record album, Fleetwood Mac's Rumours. "Our album," he said softly. Jasmine's throat tightened. They'd listened to it countless times in his dorm room, dancing barefoot on the worn carpet. "I don't want this, Roman." "Jasmine, please, just let me explain what happened. Why I left." She shook her head. "It doesn't matter anymore." "It matters to me," he said, his voice breaking. "I never wanted to hurt you." "But you did," she said, unable to keep the pain from her voice. "You left without a word. Do you have any idea what that did to me?" Roman's eyes filled with tears. "My mom got sick, Jasmine, really sick. She almost died." Jasmine froze. "What?" "It was our senior year, right before spring break. I got a call that my mom had attempted suicide. I had to go home to California immediately. She was in a psychiatric hospital. Dad was a mess. I dropped everything and went." Jasmine felt the ground shift beneath her. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I was ashamed. Mom had been hiding her depression for years. Dad didn't want anyone to know. He said it was family business. And I was so scared and confused. I just did what he said. You could have called, left a message, anything." "I know." Roman's voice was heavy with regret. "At first I thought I'd be back in a few days. Then days turned into weeks. Mom needed full-time care. Dad couldn't handle it alone. By the time I realized I wasn't coming back to finish the semester, I thought you'd be better off without me." Jasmine stepped back, overwhelmed. "I needed to hear this 7 years ago, Roman, not now. Not when I finally moved on." "Have you?" he asked quietly. "Because I haven't." Their eyes locked, and for a moment Jasmine felt that old connection, the invisible thread that had always pulled them together. Then she remembered all the nights she'd cried herself to sleep, all the unanswered calls, all the years of wondering what she'd done wrong. "Take your record," she said, pushing it into his hands. "I don't want it." She turned and walked away, feeling his eyes on her back. Inside her house, she leaned against the door, heart racing. Roman's mother had been sick. He'd had a reason for leaving, a good reason, but it didn't erase the pain. It didn't erase the 7 years of silence. The next day, Jasmine decided to attend the neighborhood barbecue. She needed to meet people, make connections in her new community. She couldn't let Roman's presence keep her hiding in her house. As she stepped onto her porch, she saw him walking toward his car. He spotted her and hesitated. "Are you going to the barbecue?" he asked. "Yes." "Can I give you a ride?" "I'd rather walk." He nodded, accepting her rejection. "Jasmine, I'm sorry for everything." She didn't answer, but as she watched him drive away, she felt something inside her shift, the first crack in the wall she'd built around her heart. At the barbecue, Jasmine met several neighbors and exchanged phone numbers with a few women her age. She was filling her plate with potato salad when she overheard 2 men talking. "Vega made another million this quarter," one said. "That new investment fund of his is killing it." "Lucky guy," the other replied. "Everything he touches turns to gold." Jasmine moved closer, unable to help herself. "I heard he's backing that new tech hub downtown," the first man continued. "The one that's bringing in all those California companies." Jasmine froze. The tech hub, that was where her old company had relocated right before the layoffs. The same company that had cut her entire department without warning. Roman was involved with them? She set down her plate, appetite gone. Was it possible? Had Roman known about her company's troubles before she did? Had he known she would lose her job? Suddenly, his appearance in her life didn't seem like coincidence anymore. As if summoned by her thoughts, Roman appeared at her side. "Are you okay? You look pale." "The tech hub downtown," she said. "So you're investing in it?" He seemed surprised by the question. "Yes, it's a major project. Why?" "Digital Front. Are they one of your companies?" Roman hesitated. "They're in my portfolio, yes." Jasmine felt sick. "That's the company that laid me off, Roman. 3 months ago. They cut my entire department when they decided to relocate to Austin." His face paled. "Jasmine, I didn't know—" "Save it," she said, cutting him off. "This is too much of a coincidence." "Me moving next door to you? After your company causes me to lose my job?" "It's not like that," he insisted. "Then what is it like? Explain it to me." But before he could answer, Elaine appeared, asking Jasmine to join a group photo of all the new neighbors. "We'll finish this later," Jasmine said to Roman, walking away. But as the afternoon wore on, she avoided him, mingling with others and making excuses whenever he came near. She wasn't ready to hear whatever explanation he had. The hurt was too fresh, the betrayal too raw. By the time she walked home, the sun was setting. Her mind raced with questions. Had Roman orchestrated everything? Her layoff? Her move to Austin? Was this all some elaborate plan to get her back into his life? As she approached her townhouse, she saw something on her porch, a canvas covered in brown paper. She picked it up and brought it inside. When she unwrapped it, her breath caught. It was a painting, her painting, from college. A landscape of the lake where they used to swim. She'd given it to Roman for his birthday during junior year. He'd kept it. All this time, there was no note, just the painting. Jasmine ran her fingers over the brush strokes, remembering the day she'd painted it. Roman had sat beside her on the shore watching her work, telling her she was the most talented person he'd ever known. Before she could think better of it, she grabbed the painting and walked next door. She had questions and she needed answers now. She knocked firmly on Roman's door. Footsteps approached, the door swung open. But it wasn't Roman who stood there. It was a woman, young, pretty, holding a baby in her arms. "Oh," the woman said, looking Jasmine up and down. "You must be Jasmine." Jasmine stood frozen on Roman's doorstep, the painting clutched tightly in her hands. The woman holding the baby smiled at her, completely unaware of the storm raging inside Jasmine's chest. "I'm Isabel," the woman said, "Roman's sister, and this little guy is Leo." Sister. Relief washed over Jasmine so intensely that her knees nearly buckled. "Is Roman home?" Jasmine asked, finding her voice. "He just ran out to pick up dinner. He should be back any minute." Isabel shifted the baby to her other hip. "Would you like to come in and wait?" Jasmine hesitated, then nodded. She followed Isabel into a spacious living room with floor-to-ceiling windows. The house was modern and minimalist, all clean lines and neutral colors, nothing like the cluttered apartment Roman had in college, with band posters taped to the walls and books stacked on every surface. "So you're the Jasmine," Isabel said, settling onto the couch with the baby. "Roman talks about you all the time." Jasmine didn't know what to say to that. She sat on the edge of an armchair, still holding the painting. "I didn't know Roman had a sister. Half-sister, technically. Same mom, different dads. I'm 10 years younger." Isabel bounced Leo gently. "He came to live with us in California when I was 11. Senior year of college, right?" "Right," Jasmine said quietly. Isabel's face grew serious. "That was a really hard time for our family. Roman told me about your mom." Isabel nodded. "It was bad, really bad. Mom had been struggling with depression for years, but she'd always managed it. Then she just crashed. Roman dropped everything to come home. I don't know what we would have done without him." Jasmine felt a pang of guilt. All these years she'd imagined Roman partying somewhere, forgetting about her, moving on with his life. She never considered that he might have been going through hell. "Is your mom okay now?" Jasmine asked. "She's good. On medication, in therapy. It took a long time, but she's doing really well." Isabel smiled. "She's actually watching my other kids tonight so I could bring Leo to meet Uncle Roman." The front door opened, and Roman walked in carrying takeout bags. He stopped short when he saw Jasmine. "You're here," he said, surprise evident in his voice. Jasmine stood up, suddenly uncertain. "I found the painting." Roman set the food down on a side table, his eyes never leaving her face. "I kept it all these years. It reminded me of you." The moment stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words. Isabel cleared her throat. "I'll just take Leo upstairs for his bath," she said, standing up. "You two probably have a lot to talk about." After she left, Roman gestured to the couch. "Will you stay? Have dinner with us?" Jasmine shook her head. "I can't. I just came to—" She wasn't sure why she'd come. To confront him. To thank him. "I have questions, Roman." "I'll answer anything you want to know," he said. "No more secrets. The tech hub, my old company. Did you know I worked there when you invested?" Roman ran a hand through his hair. "Yes, but it's not what you think." "What should I think? That it's a coincidence you invested in the company that laid me off? That I just happened to rent the house next door to you?" "The investment happened first," Roman explained. "About a year ago. Digital Front was part of a portfolio of companies relocating to Austin. I didn't make the decision to lay people off. That was their executive team. But you knew about it." "I found out after the fact. When I saw your name on the list of affected employees, I tried to intervene. I suggested they keep the graphic design team remote. They refused. Jasmine frowned. And the house? Did you arrange for me to move next door? Roman looked guilty. When I heard you were looking to relocate to Austin, I had my property manager reach out to your real estate agent. I own this row of townhouses, Jasmine. You own my house? Her voice rose in disbelief. Not exactly. I own the property. You're still renting from a management company. I just made sure your application was approved and that the rent was reasonable. Jasmine set the painting down and walked to the window, trying to process this information. So you've been manipulating my life from behind the scenes. I prefer to think of it as looking out for you. She turned to face him. That wasn't your job, Roman. Not after you walked away. I know. His voice was soft. But when I saw a chance to make things right, I took it. You can't make it right, Jasmine said, anger rising. You can't just swoop in with your millions and fix everything. I'm not trying to fix everything. I'm trying to fix us. The simple honesty in his voice caught her off guard. For a moment, she saw him as he used to be, the boy who'd climbed trees to rescue stray kittens, who'd spent his last $20 on cough medicine when she was sick. But that boy had grown into this man, wealthy, powerful, pulling strings behind the scenes. There is no us, Roman, she said finally. There hasn't been for 7 years. Because I made a mistake, he said, taking a step toward her. The biggest mistake of my life. I should have told you about my mum. I should have asked you to wait for me. I should have written something, but I was drowning, Jasmine, trying to keep my mother alive, my father functioning, my sister from falling apart. I would have been there for you, Jasmine said, her voice breaking, if you'd just let me. I know that now. Roman's eyes filled with regret. But back then, I thought I was protecting you. You had your whole future ahead of you. Graduate school, that internship in New York. I didn't want to drag you down with my family's problems. That wasn't your decision to make. You're right, Roman admitted, and I've regretted it every day since. Jasmine picked up the painting again, needing something to hold on to. I should go. Please, Roman said, reaching for her arm. Stay for dinner, just this once. Their eyes met, and for a moment, Jasmine was transported back to college, to lazy Sunday mornings and whispered promises, to the feeling of being completely understood by another person. Just dinner, she said finally. Roman's face lit up. I'll get plates. Isabel returned without the baby, explaining he'd fallen asleep. The three of them ate Chinese food at Roman's dining table, and despite herself, Jasmine found the conversation flowing easily. Isabel shared stories about her 3 kids, her job as a high school counselor, and their mother's recovery. Mom's actually thinking of writing a book about her experience, Isabel said. Roman's been encouraging her. That's wonderful, Jasmine said, looking at Roman with new eyes. As the evening wore on, Jasmine began to see glimpses of the Roman she'd known in college, in his laugh, in the way he told stories with his hands, in how he listened intently when she spoke. When Isabel announced she needed to get Leo home to bed, Jasmine stood to leave as well. I'll walk you home, Roman offered. Outside, the night was cool and clear. They walked in silence until they reached Jasmine's front porch. Thank you for staying, Roman said. It meant a lot. Jasmine nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Too many emotions were swirling inside her. Anger, confusion, and something else she wasn't ready to name. About the house, Roman continued. I want you to know that you're paying fair market rent. I'm not subsidizing you or anything. And the property management company is legitimate. So they don't report to me about you. That's good to know, Jasmine said. But it still feels strange. I understand, Roman hesitated. If you want to move, I can help you find another place. I'll think about it. They stood in awkward silence for a moment. The painting, Roman said, nodding to the canvas she still held. It's yours. I just wanted to return it. Thanks. Jasmine looked down at her work from so long ago. I thought I'd lost it. I could never lose anything that reminded me of you. The sincerity in his voice made her look up. Their eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the years between them seemed to disappear. Then Jasmine stepped back. Good night, Roman. Good night, Jasmine. She watched him walk back to his house before going inside. That night, she dreamed of the lake where she'd painted the landscape. In the dream, she and Roman were swimming, laughing, splashing each other like they used to. But when she tried to reach for him, he kept drifting further away. She woke feeling unsettled, the dream lingering like a shadow. Over the next week, Jasmine threw herself into her work, taking on new clients and staying busy. But Roman was never far from her thoughts. She'd catch glimpses of him leaving for work or returning home late. Sometimes he'd wave, sometimes she'd wave back. On Friday afternoon, her doorbell rang. She opened it to find a delivery man with a large envelope. "Package for Jasmine Cole," he said, handing it to her. Inside was an invitation to an art gallery opening that evening, scrawled across the bottom in familiar handwriting, "Your work deserves to be seen. Ah." Jasmine stared at the invitation, confused. She hadn't submitted work to any galleries. She grabbed her phone and called the number on the invitation. "West Side Gallery," a woman answered. "Hi, this is Jasmine Cole. I just received an invitation to your opening tonight, but I'm a bit confused. I didn't submit any work to your gallery." "Oh, Miss Cole, we're so excited to have your pieces in our new Austin Voices show. Mr. Vega spoke very highly of your talent." "Mr. Vega?" Jasmine's stomach dropped. "You mean Roman Vega?" "Yes, he's one of our most valued patrons. He showed us your digital portfolio, and we were immediately impressed. The 3 pieces we selected are already hung and labeled for tonight's opening." Jasmine thanked the woman and hung up, her mind racing. Roman had submitted her work to a gallery without asking. He was still pulling strings, still trying to control her life. She grabbed her car keys and drove straight to his house. His Tesla wasn't in the driveway, but she knocked anyway, anger fueling her actions. No answer. She pulled out her phone and called the number on his business card. "Jasmine," he sounded surprised. "Is everything okay?" "No, everything is not okay," she said. "You submitted my work to West Side Gallery without asking me. You had no right to do that." There was a pause. "I thought you'd be happy," he said finally. "Your work is amazing, Jasmine. It deserves to be seen. That wasn't your decision to make. You can't just keep interfering in my life like this." "I'm sorry," Roman said, his voice softening. "I thought I was helping. The gallery owner is a friend, and when I showed her your website—" "You showed her my website? How did you even find it?" "I searched for you," he admitted. "After I moved to Austin, I wanted to know if you were okay, if you were happy." Jasmine closed her eyes, trying to control her anger. "This has to stop, Roman. The coffee on my porch, the Wi-Fi, the gallery show. You can't buy your way back into my life." "That's not what I'm trying to do." "Then what are you trying to do?" "I just want a chance, Jasmine, a chance to make things right." She shook her head, even though he couldn't see her. 7 years, Roman. It's too late." There was a long silence. "Will you at least go to the opening?" he asked finally. "Not for me, for yourself. Your work deserves to be celebrated." Jasmine ended the call without answering. She spent the rest of the afternoon pacing her house, torn between anger and curiosity. What pieces had the gallery selected? How would they look in a professional setting? Despite herself, she wanted to see. At 7 o'clock, she put on a simple black dress and drove to West Side Gallery. The space was already crowded when she arrived. She slipped in quietly, trying to be inconspicuous as she searched for her work. She found it in the back room, 3 of her digital illustrations mounted and framed beautifully. People were actually standing in front of them, discussing them, pointing at details she'd labored over. "They're magnificent," a woman's voice said behind her. Jasmine turned to find an elegant older woman with silver hair. "Thank you," she said. "I'm Eleanor Westside. It's a pleasure to meet the artist behind these stunning pieces." Jasmine shook her hand, feeling suddenly out of her depth. "I appreciate you including my work. The pleasure is mine. When Roman showed me your portfolio, I knew immediately that yours was a voice we needed to feature." Jasmine tensed at the mention of Roman's name. "Is he here tonight?" Eleanor looked around. "I haven't seen him yet, but he rarely misses an opening." As if on cue, there was a stir near the entrance. Jasmine turned to see Roman walking in, looking polished in a dark suit. Several people approached him immediately, shaking his hand, clapping him on the back. He smiled and chatted, but his eyes scanned the room, searching. When he spotted Jasmine, his whole face lit up. He excused himself from the group and made his way toward her. "You came," he said, his voice filled with genuine pleasure. "Not for you," Jasmine clarified. "For my work, of course." He gestured to the framed pieces. "They look amazing, don't they? The framing really brings out the colors." Despite herself, Jasmine felt a flutter of pride. Her work did look good. Professional, polished, worthy of attention. "I'm still angry that you did this without asking me," she said. "I know, and I'm sorry." Roman's expression was contrite. "I should have asked first. It's just, I've always believed in your talent, Jasmine. Even back in college, I knew you were going to be something special." The sincerity in his voice made it hard to stay angry. "Well, next time, ask." His eyes brightened. "Does that mean there might be a next time?" Before she could answer, a tall man in an expensive suit approached them. "Roman, there you are." Roman turned, his expression cooling slightly. "Mark, good to see you. We need to talk about the Riverside project. The zoning commission is—" The man stopped, noticing Jasmine. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. It's fine, Roman said. Mark, this is Jasmine Cole. Jasmine, this is Mark Davis, CEO of Digital Front. Jasmine froze. This was the man who had laid her off, the man whose decision had upended her life. Mark's eyes widened in recognition. Cole, weren't you in our graphic design department? I was, Jasmine said stiffly. Until the layoffs. Mark had the grace to look uncomfortable. Right. Well, these things happen in business. Nothing personal. It felt pretty personal to those of us who lost our jobs, Jasmine replied. An awkward silence fell. Roman cleared his throat. Mark, would you excuse us? I'd like to show Jasmine the other exhibits. Of course. Mark nodded and moved away, already pulling out his phone. I'm sorry about that, Roman said once Mark was gone. I didn't know he'd be here tonight. It's fine. Jasmine took a deep breath. Actually, it was good to see him. Reminds me that I'm better off working for myself anyway. Roman smiled. That's the Jasmine I remember, always finding the silver lining. For the rest of the evening, they moved through the gallery together, looking at the other artists' work. Roman knew many of them and made a point of introducing Jasmine. He was different in this setting, confident, knowledgeable about art, respected by everyone. By the end of the night, Jasmine had collected several business cards from potential clients and had been invited to participate in another show in the fall. Thank you, she said reluctantly, as Roman walked her to her car. I have to admit this was a good opportunity. I'm glad you came, Roman said, and I promise no more surprises. From now on I'll ask before I do anything that involves you. Jasmine nodded, unlocking her car door. Good night, Roman. Good night, Jasmine. She watched him in her rearview mirror as she drove away, standing there under the streetlight, hands in his pockets, watching her go. The next morning, Jasmine slept late. When she finally checked her phone, she had 3 emails from people who'd seen her work at the gallery, potential clients. Maybe Roman's interference wasn't entirely unwelcome after all. As she made coffee, she noticed him in his backyard, working on something. The fence between their properties was old and sagging in places. Roman appeared to be measuring it. Curious, she went outside. What are you doing? Roman looked up, surprised to see her. The fence needs replacing. I thought I'd take care of it this weekend. Don't you have people for that? Employees or something? He smiled. I do, but some things I prefer to do myself. Jasmine watched as he marked measurements on a notepad. Need any help? Roman's eyebrows shot up. Really? I'm not promising forgiveness or friendship, Jasmine clarified, just offering to hold the other end of a measuring tape. I'll take it, Roman said, grinning. They spent the morning working on the fence together. Roman went to the hardware store and returned with lumber and tools. He seemed to know what he was doing, cutting boards with precision and hammering with confidence. Where did you learn to do this? Jasmine asked, holding a board steady while he nailed it in place. My dad, Roman said. He was a contractor before he started his own company, made me work summers with his crew from the time I was 15. I didn't know that. Roman paused, looking at her. There's a lot we didn't get to learn about each other. The weight of lost time hung between them. By afternoon, they'd replaced half the fence. They were taking a break, drinking water in the shade, when Roman's phone rang. He checked it and frowned. I have to take this, he said, stepping away. Jasmine couldn't help overhearing bits of his conversation. No, that's not acceptable. We discussed this, Mark. The agreement was clear. Roman's voice grew tense. These are people's lives we're talking about. No, I won't authorize that kind of cut. When he returned, his face was stormy. Everything okay? Jasmine asked. Work stuff, Roman said, picking up his hammer. Nothing for you to worry about. But his mood had darkened. They finished the section they were working on in silence, and then Roman said he needed to make some calls. We can finish tomorrow, he suggested. Jasmine nodded, feeling dismissed. Sure. That evening, curiosity got the better of her. She searched online for news about Digital Front and found a recent article. Tech Hub faces community backlash over displacement concerns. According to the article, the development was facing criticism for pushing out local businesses and residents. Community groups were protesting, and several investors were reconsidering their involvement. One quote caught her eye. Roman Vega, whose investment fund owns a significant stake in the project, has reportedly expressed concerns about the social impact and is pushing for changes to the plan. Jasmine stared at the screen, processing this information. Was Roman trying to do the right thing, or was this just damage control? The next morning she saw no sign of Roman. The lumber and tools were still in his yard, but his car was gone. Around noon, her doorbell rang. It was Isabel with baby Leo. "Hey," Isabel said, looking frazzled. "Is Roman here? He was supposed to watch Leo while I went to a doctor's appointment, but he's not answering his door or his phone." "I haven't seen him today," Jasmine said. "His car's been gone all morning." Isabel sighed. "Great, now I'm going to miss my appointment." "I could watch Leo," Jasmine offered, surprising herself. Isabel hesitated. "Are you sure? He can be a handful." "I'm sure. How long will you be gone?" "Just an hour, maybe 2 at most." "We'll be fine," Jasmine assured her. Isabel handed over the baby and a diaper bag, giving hurried instructions about bottles and nap schedules before rushing off. Jasmine settled on the couch with Leo, who looked up at her with curious eyes. He had Roman's dark hair and olive skin. "So, little guy," she said, bouncing him gently. "What should we do while we wait for your mum?" Leo gurgled and grabbed at her necklace. For the next hour, Jasmine played with him, fed him a bottle and eventually rocked him to sleep. As she held his warm little body against her chest, she found herself thinking about what life might have been like if she and Roman had stayed together. Would they have children by now? A home they'd built together. The thought made her chest ache with a sense of loss for something that had never been. The sound of a car door slamming broke the silence. Through the window, she saw Roman getting out of his Tesla, looking tired and rumpled. He headed toward his front door, then stopped, noticing Jasmine's curtains open. He changed direction and came to her porch instead. She opened the door before he could knock, holding a finger to her lips and nodding toward the sleeping baby. "Leo?" Roman whispered, confused. "Why do you have Leo?" "Isabel had a doctor's appointment," Jasmine explained quietly. "You were supposed to watch him but didn't answer your phone." Roman's face fell. "I forgot. I was in meetings all morning." He ran a hand through his hair. "Is she mad?" "She was more stressed than mad. She should be back soon." Roman sank onto the couch, looking at Leo sleeping in Jasmine's arms. "He likes you," he observed. "He's a sweet baby," Jasmine said, gently stroking Leo's cheek. "Where were you all morning?" Roman hesitated. "At the tech hub site. There are issues with the development plan. I saw the article about the community backlash." He looked surprised. "You're following the project?" "I got curious after hearing your conversation yesterday." Roman nodded. "Mark and some of the other investors want to go ahead with the original plan, which would displace a lot of local businesses. I'm trying to push for a compromise." "Why do you care?" Jasmine asked. "Isn't the point to make money?" "Money isn't everything," Roman said, his voice soft. "I learned that the hard way." They sat in silence for a moment, the only sound Leo's gentle breathing. "You've changed," Jasmine said finally. "I hope so," Roman replied. "I wasn't very proud of who I was after I left college. For a long time I just focused on success, making money, building a name for myself. It felt like the only way to justify what I'd given up. And now I'm trying to do better. Use my position to make a difference." He looked at her intently. "Seeing you again, it reminded me of who I wanted to be back then, the person you believed I could be." The intensity of his gaze made Jasmine look away. "I should put Leo down," she said, standing carefully. "He'll be more comfortable in his carrier." She gently placed the sleeping baby in the carrier Isabel had left. When she turned back, Roman was looking at his phone, frowning. "Everything okay? Just more work fires to put out." He put the phone away. "Jasmine, there's something I need to tell you." The seriousness in his voice made her tense. "What is it?" "The tech hub project, the one that affected your old company. I'm pulling my investment." "What? Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do. The current plan would hurt too many people. And," he paused, "because it hurt you." Jasmine didn't know what to say. Before she could formulate a response, the doorbell rang. It was Isabel, back from her appointment. "How was he?" she asked, looking between Jasmine and Roman. "Perfect," Jasmine said, helping gather Leo's things. "He just fell asleep about 20 minutes ago." "Thank you so much," Isabel said, taking the carrier. "And Roman, we need to talk about you missing babysitting duty." "I know. I'm sorry," Roman said, looking genuinely contrite. "Let me walk you to your car." After they left, Jasmine stood in her doorway watching Roman help Isabel load Leo into her car. He was so gentle with the baby, so attentive to his sister. This was a side of him she'd never seen. When Isabel drove away, Roman returned to Jasmine's porch. "Thank you for helping out," he said. "Isabel's been through a lot these past few years. Single mum, 3 kids, working full-time." "She seems like a strong woman," Jasmine said. "She is, like someone else I know." The compliment made Jasmine uncomfortable. She changed the subject. "What are you going to do about the tech hub?" "Fight it," Roman said simply. Use my influence to push for a better plan, one that includes the community instead of displacing it, even if it costs you money. Even then, Jasmine studied his face, looking for signs of the calculating businessman, the manipulator who'd arranged for her to move next door. All she saw was sincerity and determination. I should get back to work, she said, stepping inside. I have a deadline tomorrow. Of course, Roman nodded. And I should finish that fence. Maybe next weekend? Maybe. As she closed the door, Jasmine felt something shift inside her. The anger she'd been holding on to was beginning to crack, making space for something else, something she wasn't ready to name. The next day, Jasmine was working at her kitchen table when her phone rang. It was Tanya. Have you seen the news? Tanya asked without preamble. What news? About your ex, Roman Vega. He's all over the business sites this morning. He pulled out of some big development project in Austin. Apparently it's causing a huge stir in the investment community. Jasmine's heart raced. He'd actually done it. Send me the link. Tanya texted her an article from a financial news site. The headline read, Tech investor Roman Vega withdraws from Austin Hub project, cites ethical concerns. The article quoted Roman directly. While I believe in economic growth, it cannot come at the expense of community well-being. I'm advocating for a revised plan that incorporates existing businesses and provides affordable options for residents. There was also a photo of Roman speaking at what appeared to be a community meeting, looking passionate and engaged. Isn't that the guy who broke your heart in college? Tanya asked, still on the phone. The one who's now your neighbor? Yes, Jasmine said softly. That's him. Well, he's certainly making waves. The article says his fund is launching a new initiative focused on socially responsible investments. And get this, he's starting a mentorship program for small business owners, especially in creative fields like graphic design, like her business. After hanging up with Tanya, Jasmine sat staring at the article, conflicted. Was this another of Roman's manipulations, another attempt to win her over, or was he genuinely trying to do the right thing? Her doorbell rang, interrupting her thoughts. When she opened it, there was no one there, just a manila envelope on her doorstep. Inside was a brochure for Vega Ventures' mentorship program, and a handwritten note. This isn't about you, it's about what's right. But if you're interested, applications open next week. No strings attached. Jasmine read through the brochure. The program offered business coaching, networking opportunities, and potential funding for small creative businesses. It looked legitimate and well thought out. She set it aside, unsure what to think. That evening, she was sitting on her porch when Roman returned home. He saw her and waved, but didn't come over, respecting her space. Against her better judgment, Jasmine called out to him, I heard about the tech hub. Roman walked to the fence between their yards. News travels fast. You really pulled out? I did. Because of me. Roman shook his head. Not just because of you, because it was wrong. But yes, seeing how it affected you, that made it personal. And the mentorship program? Is that because of me too? That's been in the works for months, Roman said. But I'd be lying if I said you weren't part of the inspiration. Seeing you rebuild your business, start over, it reminded me how hard that road can be. Jasmine didn't know what to say. Every time she thought she had Roman figured out, he surprised her. Would you like to have dinner again sometime? Roman asked, his voice uncertain. Just to talk. No pressure. Jasmine hesitated. Part of her wanted to say no, to keep the walls up that had protected her for so long. But another part, a part that was growing stronger each day, wanted to give him a chance. Just dinner, she said finally. Roman's face lit up with a smile that took her back to college, to the boy she'd fallen in love with. Just dinner, he agreed. As she watched him walk back to his house, Jasmine felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not just for herself, but for the possibility that sometimes people could change, that sometimes second chances were worth taking. And as the sun set over their shared fence, the fence they'd started to rebuild together, Jasmine wondered if maybe, just maybe, they could rebuild something else too. What she didn't know was that across town, Mark Davis was seething about Roman's withdrawal from the Tech Hub project, and he was looking for someone to blame, someone like the woman who'd suddenly reappeared in Roman's life. Mark Davis slammed his fist on his desk, making his assistant jump. The morning newspaper lay open before him, the headline glaring up at him. Vega pulls investment from Tech Hub, project future uncertain. Get me everything you can find on Jasmine Cole, he barked at his assistant. I want to know who she is, where she came from and why she suddenly matters so much to Roman Vega. "Yes, sir," the assistant said, hurrying out. Mark leaned back in his leather chair, seething. The Tech Hub project was supposed to be his legacy, his ticket to the big leagues. Now it was falling apart because Roman Vega had grown a conscience, and Mark was certain that this woman, the one he'd seen with Roman at the gallery, the one who used to work for his company, was behind it. "Nobody messes with my plans," he muttered, picking up his phone. Nobody. Across town, Jasmine was having a surprisingly good day. 2 new clients had signed contracts that morning, and the gallery had sold one of her pieces. As she worked on design concepts, her phone chimed with a text from Roman. "Still on for dinner tonight? I know a place with great Thai food." Jasmine hesitated, then typed back, "Sounds good. 7 p.m. I'll pick you up at 6:30. She set her phone down, feeling a flutter of anticipation. It was just dinner, she reminded herself. Not a date, just 2 old friends catching up. But as she stood in front of her closet that evening, trying to decide what to wear, it felt very much like a date. She finally settled on a simple blue dress, not too fancy, but nicer than her usual work clothes. At exactly 6:30 her doorbell rang. Roman stood on her porch, holding a small potted plant. Not flowers, she noticed, but an herb. "Thyme," he said, offering it to her. "I remembered you always wanted an herb garden back in college." The thoughtfulness of the gesture caught her off guard. "You remembered that?" "I remember everything about you, Jasmine." The intensity in his eyes made her look away. "Let me put this inside and then we can go." The restaurant was small and intimate, tucked away on a side street downtown. The hostess greeted Roman by name and led them to a quiet corner table. "You come here a lot?" Jasmine asked as they sat down. "It's one of my favorites," Roman admitted. "The chef uses ingredients from local farms. I invested in their first location when they were just starting out." "Is there anything in Austin you haven't invested in?" Roman smiled. "Plenty, but I try to support businesses that align with my values." "And what are those values?" Jasmine asked, genuinely curious. "Community, sustainability, treating people with dignity." Roman met her eyes. "Things I didn't always prioritize in the beginning." Their conversation flowed easily over dinner. Roman told her about his work with local charities, and Jasmine shared stories about her freelance clients. It felt natural, comfortable, like no time had passed at all. "Do you remember Professor Harmon's art history class?" Roman asked as they shared dessert. "How he always wore those bow ties?" Jasmine laughed. "And how he got so excited about Impressionism that he'd spit when he talked. Front row was a danger zone. You always sat in the front row anyway." "I wanted to hear everything," Jasmine said. "I loved that class." "I only took it to be near you," Roman admitted. "I couldn't tell a Monet from a Manet." "I knew it!" Jasmine pointed her fork at him accusingly. "You used to ask me the most basic questions. It was the only way to get you to talk to me. You were so focused on your art." They smiled at each other, momentarily transported back to simpler times. As they were leaving the restaurant, a voice called out, "Roman, what a surprise!" They turned to see Mark Davis approaching, a blonde woman on his arm. "Mark," Roman said, his smile fading slightly. "Nice to see you." "And Ms. Cole, right?" Mark said, turning to Jasmine. "Our former employee. How convenient to run into you both." Jasmine felt Roman tense beside her. "We were just leaving," he said. "So soon? Why don't you join us for a drink?" Mark gestured to an empty table. "I'd love to hear more about your sudden withdrawal from our project. The board is quite concerned." "This isn't the time or place, Mark." "No? When would be better?" "You've been avoiding my calls." Roman placed a protective hand on Jasmine's back. "I've made my position clear. The project needs to be restructured if you want my investment." Mark's eyes narrowed. "Is that your position, or is it hers?" He nodded toward Jasmine. "My business decisions are my own," Roman said firmly. "Now, if you'll excuse us, we were just leaving." As they walked out, Jasmine could feel Mark's eyes boring into her back. "I don't think that was a coincidence," she said once they were in Roman's car. "No," Roman agreed. "Mark doesn't do coincidences. He's angry about the tech hub and he's looking for someone to blame. He seems to think I'm the reason you pulled out." Roman sighed. "Mark sees the world in very simple terms. Profit or loss. Win or lose. He can't understand making a decision based on ethics." "Is that what you did? Made an ethical decision?" "I tried to." Roman glanced at her. "But I won't lie. Having you back in my life made me think harder about the consequences of my actions, about who might get hurt." The honesty in his voice touched something deep inside Jasmine. For the first time, She allowed herself to believe that Roman had truly changed. When they reached her house, Roman walked her to the door. "Thank you for tonight," he said. "It meant a lot to me." "I had a good time," Jasmine admitted. They stood in silence for a moment, the air between them charged with unspoken feelings. "Jasmine," Roman began, his voice soft, "I know I hurt you, and I know I can't erase the past, but I want you to know that not a day went by when I didn't think about you, when I didn't regret leaving the way I did." Jasmine felt tears prick at her eyes. "It nearly broke me, Roman, not knowing why you left, thinking I'd done something wrong." "You didn't do anything wrong," Roman said, taking her hand. "It was all me. My mistake, my shame, my fear." "Fear of what?" "Of not being enough, of dragging you down with my family's problems, of failing you." Jasmine looked at their joined hands. "We could have faced it together. I know that now." Roman's voice was thick with emotion. "I was young and stupid and scared, and I've spent 7 years regretting it." Jasmine felt the walls around her heart beginning to crumble. "I need time, Roman. This is all happening so fast." "Take all the time you need," he said, squeezing her hand before letting go. "I'm not going anywhere this time, I promise." As he walked back to his car, Jasmine felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years, the possibility of forgiveness. The next morning she woke to the sound of her phone ringing. It was a number she didn't recognize. "Hello? Is this Jasmine Cole?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes, who's this?" "My name is Rachel Edwards. I'm the events coordinator at Austin Arts Foundation. We're organizing a showcase of local digital artists next month, and we'd love to include your work." Jasmine sat up in bed, surprised. "How did you hear about me?" "Your pieces at Westside Gallery caught our attention. We were very impressed." After getting the details, Jasmine hung up, feeling a surge of excitement. Her work was getting noticed. This could be a huge opportunity. She texted Roman, "Just got invited to showcase my work at the Austin Arts Foundation next month." His reply came quickly. "That's amazing. Congratulations. They're very selective." "Did you have anything to do with this?" she asked. "Absolutely not. This is all you and your talent. I'm just happy people are finally seeing what I've always seen in you." Jasmine smiled at his message, allowing herself to believe him. Later that day, as she was working on concepts for the showcase, her doorbell rang. When she opened it, she found a delivery man with a large envelope. "Package for Jasmine Cole," he said. Inside was a contract from a company called Create, offering her a 3-month consultancy for a significant sum. The cover letter mentioned that they'd seen her work at the gallery and were impressed by her style and innovation. This was exactly the kind of opportunity she'd been hoping for. Steady work with a respected company could help her build her client base even further. As she read through the contract, something caught her eye, in small print at the bottom, a subsidiary of Davis Enterprises, Mark Davis's company. Jasmine frowned. Why would Mark's company want to hire her after what happened at the restaurant? It didn't make sense, unless it was some kind of trap. She called Roman. "Do you know anything about a company called Create?" she asked when he answered. "It's one of Mark's newer ventures," Roman said. "Why?" "They just offered me a consulting contract, a very generous one." There was silence on the other end. Then, "Don't sign it." "Why not?" "Mark doesn't do anything without an angle. If he's offering you a job, it's because he wants something." "Like what?" "Information about me, maybe, or leverage to use against me." Roman sounded worried. "Be careful, Jasmine. Mark can be vindictive when he doesn't get his way." After they hung up, Jasmine stared at the contract. The money was tempting, enough to pay her rent for 6 months, but Roman's warning echoed in her mind. She decided to sleep on it. That night, unable to rest, she went for a walk around the neighborhood. The streets were quiet, most houses dark except for porch lights. As she rounded the corner back to her street, she noticed a car parked near her house, a sleek black sedan with tinted windows. It hadn't been there when she left. Jasmine slowed her pace, suddenly uneasy. The car's engine started as she approached, and it pulled away from the curb, driving past her slowly. She couldn't see the driver through the dark windows, but she felt watched. Back inside her house, she double-checked that all her doors and windows were locked. She was being paranoid, she told herself. It was probably just a neighbor's visitor. But the next morning, when she went to check her mailbox, she found an envelope with no stamp or address. Inside was a newspaper clipping about Roman's mother's suicide attempt from 7 years ago, something that had never made the papers. Scrawled across it in red marker, "Ask him what really happened." Jasmine's hands trembled as she reread the note. How had this gotten in her mailbox? Who would do this? She called Roman immediately. "Can you come over? Now?" He arrived within minutes, concern etched on his face. "What's wrong?" Wordlessly, she handed him the envelope. Roman paled as he read the note and saw the clipping. "Where did you get this?" he asked, his voice tight. "It was in my mailbox this morning." "Roman, what does it mean? Ask him what really happened. What really happened with your mother." Roman sank onto her couch, the paper clutched in his hand. This was a private family matter. There was no news coverage. The only people who knew were family and... His voice trailed off. "And who?" "Mark's father," Roman said quietly. "He was my father's business partner at the time. He helped keep it quiet, keep it out of the press. So Mark would have access to this information." Roman nodded, his face grim. "He's trying to cause trouble between us." "But why? What does he gain?" "Control. Leverage. Mark hates losing, and he sees my withdrawal from the tech hub as a personal defeat." Roman looked at the clipping again. "And he's right. There is more to the story. Something I haven't told you." Jasmine felt a chill run down her spine. "What?" Roman took a deep breath. "My mother's suicide attempt, it wasn't her first. She'd struggled with depression for years, but we kept it private. That final time during our senior year was the worst. She almost died." "I'm so sorry, Roman. But there's more." Roman's voice wavered. "The reason she tried to take her life that time, it was because of my father." Jasmine waited, sensing the weight of what was coming. "He'd been having an affair with Mark's mother." Jasmine's eyes widened. "What?" "It had been going on for years. When my mother found out, she was devastated. The betrayal, the humiliation, it was too much for her." Roman's eyes filled with tears. "My father's business partner, Mark's father, helped cover it all up, paid off reporters, buried the story, but the damage was done." "Did Mark know about the affair?" "I don't know. But his parents divorced around the same time, so I assume he knew something was wrong." Roman looked up at her. "This is why there's always been tension between us. Our families have a history, a painful one." Jasmine moved to sit beside him on the couch. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because it's ugly and messy and shameful." Roman's voice broke. "And because I didn't want you to know how broken my family was. How broken I was." Without thinking, Jasmine reached for his hand. "We're all broken in some way, Roman." He looked at their joined hands, then at her face. "You deserved better than what I gave you." "Yes," Jasmine agreed. "I did. But I understand better now why you left the way you did." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the past hanging between them. "Mark is trying to use this against me," Roman said finally. "Against us. He wants to hurt me by hurting you. What should we do?" "Be careful. Don't sign anything from his companies. Don't meet with him alone." Roman squeezed her hand. "And maybe, don't see me for a while." Jasmine frowned. "What?" "If Mark thinks you're important to me, which you are, he'll keep coming after you to get to me. The best way to protect you might be to keep my distance." "That's ridiculous," Jasmine said. "I'm not going to let Mark Davis dictate who I spend time with." "Jasmine, you don't know him like I do. He can be dangerous when he's crossed." "So what, we just give up? Let him win?" Roman looked surprised by her vehemence. "I'm just trying to protect you. I don't need protection, Roman. I need honesty and partnership." Jasmine stood up, suddenly angry. "This is exactly what went wrong before. You making decisions about what's best for me without asking me." Roman fell silent, considering her words. "You're right," he said finally. "I'm sorry. Old habits. If there's any chance for us, we need to face things together. No more secrets. No more unilateral decisions." "Together," Roman repeated, the word carrying a weight of promise. "I'd like that." Over the next week, they were careful. Jasmine declined the contract from DigiCreate, citing scheduling conflicts. Roman increased security at his house and suggested Jasmine do the same. They kept an eye out for the black sedan, but didn't see it again. Slowly, life returned to normal. Jasmine worked on pieces for the upcoming showcase. Roman continued his push for ethical business practices, speaking at community meetings and giving interviews about responsible development. They spent evenings together, sometimes at her place, sometimes at his. They finished repairing the fence between their yards, but now they left the gate unlocked. One night, as they sat on Roman's rooftop garden watching the sunset, Jasmine found the courage to ask the question that had been on her mind. "In all these years, was there ever anyone else? For you, I mean." Roman looked at her, his expression serious. "I dated. Nothing serious. Nothing that lasted. Because they weren't you." "Roman, it's true." I never stopped thinking about you, Jasmine. Never stopped wondering where you were, what you were doing, if you were happy. I wasn't, she admitted. Not really. I dated too, even lived with someone for a while, but it never felt right. And now? Roman asked, his voice hesitant. How does this feel? Jasmine looked at him, really looked at him. At the boy she'd loved, now a man. At the eyes that still crinkled when he smiled. At the hands that had once held hers through thunderstorms and now built fences and planted gardens. It feels like coming home, she said softly. Roman reached for her, drawing her close. Their lips met in a kiss that felt both new and familiar, like returning to a place you'd never thought you'd see again. When they pulled apart, Roman pressed his forehead to hers. I love you, Jasmine. I never stopped. The words unlocked something inside her, a door she'd kept firmly shut for 7 years. I love you too, she whispered. I tried not to, but I never stopped either. That night they talked for hours, about the past, the present, the future, about mistakes and forgiveness, about second chances. Move in with me, Roman said as dawn broke. This house is too big for just me. Jasmine laughed. That's a bit fast, don't you think? We just had our first kiss last night. Actually, our first kiss was behind the library sophomore year. You were wearing a blue sweater and smelled like rain. You remember that? I remember everything about us, Jasmine. Every moment. She kissed him again, marveling at how right it felt. Let's take it slow this time. Do it right. Slow, Roman agreed, but together. The next few weeks were the happiest Jasmine could remember. Her business was thriving, with new clients coming in regularly. Roman was making positive changes in the community through his investments, and their relationship deepened each day, built on honesty and trust. The night of the Austin Arts Foundation showcase arrived. Jasmine's work was featured prominently, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. Roman stood proudly by her side as collectors and gallery owners approached her with compliments and questions. I always knew you were going to be a star, he whispered in her ear during a quiet moment. As the evening wound down, Roman excused himself to take a phone call. Jasmine was chatting with a potential client when she felt a presence beside her. Quite an achievement, Mark Davis said, his voice smooth as oil. Congratulations. Jasmine stiffened. Thank you. If you'll excuse me. One moment, Mark said, blocking her path slightly. I wanted to apologize for our misunderstanding. The contract offer was genuine. Your work is exceptional. I appreciate that, but I'm not interested in working with your company. Mark smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Because of Roman. He's quite protective of you, isn't he? Almost possessive. Roman respects my decisions, Jasmine said firmly. Now please excuse me. Before you go, Mark said, lowering his voice. Did you ask him about what really happened with his mother? Jasmine felt a chill. That's none of your business. Did he tell you about the restraining order? About how his mother feared for her life before she tried to end it? Jasmine froze. What are you talking about? Oh, Mark's eyes widened in mock surprise. He didn't tell you. His mother didn't just attempt suicide because of the affair. She was afraid of his father, of his temper. And Roman, Mark paused dramatically. Roman has his father's temper. You're lying, Jasmine said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Am I? Ask him about the night before he left college. Ask him what really made him run home so suddenly. Mark smiled coldly. And ask yourself why he really disappeared without a word. Before Jasmine could respond, Roman returned, his face darkening when he saw Mark. Everything okay here? He asked, placing a protective hand on Jasmine's back. Just congratulating the artist, Mark said smoothly. She's very talented. You're a lucky man, Roman. As Mark walked away, Roman turned to Jasmine. What did he say to you? Jasmine hesitated. Nothing important. But Mark's words had planted a seed of doubt, a restraining order. Roman's father's temper. Was there more to the story that Roman still wasn't telling her? Later that night, as they drove home from the showcase, Jasmine was quiet. What's wrong? Roman asked, glancing at her. You've been distant since we left. Mark said something, Jasmine admitted, about your mother, about a restraining order. Roman's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Mark doesn't know what he's talking about. So there was no restraining order? Roman's silence was answer enough. You told me you were being honest with me, Jasmine said, hurt creeping into her voice. No more secrets. It's not a secret, Roman said defensively. It's just complicated. Then uncomplicate it. What happened, Roman? What aren't you telling me? Roman pulled the car over and turned off the engine. In the dim light, His face looked haunted. My father was not a good man, he began. He had a temper. When he drank, it got worse. He never hit us, but he would throw things, break things, scream for hours. Jasmine listened, her heart aching for the boy Roman had been. After Mum found out about the affair, she finally got the courage to leave. She filed for a restraining order. Dad was furious. He showed up at her new apartment one night, drunk, threatening her. I wasn't there. I was at college with you. Roman's voice broke. She called me, terrified. I told her to call the police. She did, but by the time they arrived, she'd already... He couldn't finish. Oh, Roman, Jasmine whispered, reaching for his hand. I got the call from the hospital. They said she'd taken pills, that it was serious. I went home immediately, planning to be back in a few days. But when I got there, everything was chaos. Mom was in ICU. Dad was drunk and raging. Isabel was hysterical. And I snapped. What do you mean? I confronted my father. We fought, physically fought. I blamed him for what happened to Mom. He said it was my fault for not being there to protect her. Roman's voice was barely audible. I hit him, Jasmine, hard. He fell and hit his head on the corner of the coffee table. There was so much blood. Jasmine felt her breath catch. He survived, but he needed stitches. And afterward, he threatened to press charges against me for assault. Roman looked at her, his eyes filled with shame. That's why I couldn't come back. I was dealing with police statements, with my father's threats, with my mother's recovery. And I was ashamed. Ashamed of my family, ashamed of my own violence. You were protecting your mother, Jasmine said softly. I was out of control, Roman countered. Just like him. That's what scared me the most. That I might have inherited his temper, his capacity for violence. I didn't want to drag you into that darkness. Jasmine was quiet for a moment, processing everything. Have you ever hit anyone else? Before or since? Never, Roman said firmly. That was the first and last time. I've spent years in therapy, working through those fears, learning to manage anger in healthy ways. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I was afraid you'd look at me differently, that you'd see my father in me. Roman's voice was raw with vulnerability, and I couldn't bear that. Jasmine reached out and touched his face gently. I see you, Roman. Just you. The relief in his eyes was palpable. I'm sorry I didn't tell you everything. I wanted to, but it's okay, Jasmine said, understanding now the weight he'd been carrying. No more secrets now, no matter how painful. No more secrets, Roman agreed, bringing her hand to his lips. As they drove the rest of the way home, Jasmine felt closer to Roman than ever before. The final pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, the full picture of why he'd left becoming clear at last. When they reached her house, Roman walked her to the door. Stay with me tonight, he said softly. I don't want to be alone after all that. Jasmine nodded, understanding his need for connection, for reassurance. Let me just grab a few things. Inside, she quickly packed an overnight bag. As she was zipping it closed, her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Jasmine Cole? A woman's voice asked. Yes. Who's this? My name is Claire. Claire Vega, Roman's mother. Jasmine sat down heavily on her bed. Mrs. Vega, how did you get my number? Isabel gave it to me. I hope that's okay. Claire's voice was gentle but firm. I understand you and my son have reconnected. Yes, we have. He cares for you very much. He always has. There was a pause. I'm calling because I think there are some things you should know. Things Roman might not have told you. Jasmine's heart raced. About what happened 7 years ago. Yes, and about his father. About our family. He told me everything tonight, Jasmine said. About the restraining order. About the fight with his father. Did he tell you that his father died 2 years ago? Claire asked. That Roman blamed himself. That he's been carrying that guilt ever since. Jasmine felt a chill. No, he didn't mention that. My ex-husband had a brain hemorrhage. The doctor said it could have been related to the head injury from years before, or it could have been unrelated. We'll never know for sure. Claire sighed. But Roman believes he caused it. That his moment of violence led to his father's death. That's why he's so determined to do good now, Jasmine realized aloud. To make amends. Partly, Claire agreed. But also because of you. He never stopped loving you, Jasmine. Never stopped regretting how he left. Finding you again, it's given him hope. Why are you telling me this? Jasmine asked. Because my son deserves happiness, and I think you might be the key to that. Claire's voice softened. But I needed to be sure you knew everything, that there were no more secrets between you. After hanging up, Jasmine sat for a long moment, absorbing everything she'd learned. Roman's father was dead. Roman blamed himself. He'd been carrying this burden alone. She grabbed her bag and went outside, where Roman was waiting by his car. "Everything okay?" he asked, noticing her expression. "Your mother just called me," Jasmine said. Roman looked stunned. "My mother? Why?" "She told me about your father, that he died, that you blame yourself." Roman's face paled. "Jasmine, I can explain." "No more explanations," Jasmine said, stepping closer to him. "No more carrying burdens alone. Whatever happens next, we face it together. All of it. The good and the bad." Relief washed over Roman's face. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. "Together," he whispered against her hair. As they drove to his house, neither noticed the black sedan parked down the street or the man inside taking photos of their embrace. Mark Davis smiled as he reviewed the images on his camera. "Enjoy it while it lasts," he murmured, "because I'm just getting started." The next morning, Jasmine woke in Roman's bed, feeling more at peace than she had in years. She reached for him, but his side of the bed was empty. She found him downstairs in the kitchen making coffee. "Morning," he said, smiling as he handed her a cup. "Sleep well. Better than I have in years," she admitted. Roman's phone buzzed on the counter. He checked it and frowned. "What is it?" Jasmine asked. "Nothing important," he said, putting the phone down. "Work stuff." But throughout breakfast, his phone kept buzzing. Finally, he excused himself to take a call in his office. When he returned, his face was grim. "What's wrong?" Jasmine asked. "Someone leaked information about my father's death to the press. There's an article online suggesting I was responsible, that my violent outburst led to his eventual death." "Mark," Jasmine said immediately. Roman nodded. "Has to be. He's the only one outside the family who knew the details. What can we do?" "My lawyer is already on it, but the damage is done." Roman ran a hand through his hair. "This could affect my business, my reputation, everything I've built. We'll face it together," Jasmine reminded him. "Remember?" Roman looked at her with such gratitude that it made her heart ache. "Together," he agreed. Later that day, as Jasmine was heading home to change clothes, she noticed a package on her porch, a small box with no return address. Inside was a flash drive and a note. "The truth about Roman Vega, watch alone." Jasmine stared at the flash drive, a sense of dread washing over her. Should she watch it? Should she tell Roman? What new painful secret could it possibly contain? Before she could decide, her phone rang. It was Isabel. "Jasmine, have you seen the news?" Isabel's voice was frantic. "They're saying terrible things about Roman, about what happened with Dad." "I know. Roman thinks Mark Davis is behind it." "It's more than that," Isabel said. "There's a video circulating of the fight between Roman and Dad. Someone had a security camera in the house, and the footage was saved all these years." Jasmine looked at the flash drive in her hand. "Oh no. It looks bad, Jasmine, really bad. Out of context, it makes Roman seem like a monster." Jasmine's heart pounded. "What should we do?" "I don't know. Roman's not answering his phone. I'm worried about him." "I'll find him," Jasmine promised. "We'll figure this out." After hanging up, Jasmine tried calling Roman, but it went straight to voicemail. She drove to his house, but his car was gone. Where would he go? Where would he feel safe? Then it hit her. The lake. Their lake from college. The one in her painting. It was a long shot, but she had to try. She got in her car and drove, praying she was right. 2 hours later, she pulled into the small parking area by the lake, and there, sitting on the shore, was Roman. He didn't look up as she approached, his gaze fixed on the water. "How did you find me?" he asked when she sat beside him. "I remembered how you used to come here to think, when things got overwhelming at school." Roman nodded. "I drive out here sometimes, when I need perspective." "I saw the video," Jasmine said softly. "Isabel told me about it, and then I found a flash drive on my porch." Roman closed his eyes. "Then you know what I did. I know you were protecting your mother. I know your father was drunk and violent. I know the full context that the video doesn't show. It doesn't matter. People will see what they want to see." Roman's voice was hollow. "Everything I've built, all the good I've tried to do, it won't matter anymore. I'll always be the guy who hit his father." "We can fight this," Jasmine insisted. "Tell your side of the story. Release a statement." "It won't help. Mark has made sure of that." "So, you're just giving up?" Jasmine felt anger rising. "After everything you've overcome, everything we've rebuilt between us, you're just going to walk away again?" Roman finally looked at her. "I'm not walking away from you. Never again. But my reputation, my business, that might be beyond saving." "I don't believe that," Jasmine said firmly. And I don't think you do either. The Roman I know doesn't give up. The Roman you know is a fraud, he said bitterly. A man trying to outrun his past, to be better than his father, and failing. That's not true. Jasmine took his face in her hands, forcing him to look at her. You are good, Roman. You've made mistakes, yes, but you've also done so much good. You've supported your mother, helped raise your sister, created jobs, given back to the community. One moment of violence 7 years ago doesn't define you. Roman's eyes filled with tears. What if it does? What if I am my father's son after all? You're not, Jasmine said with certainty. You're your own man, and you're the man I love. Roman pulled her close, holding her as if she were a lifeline. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do, Jasmine whispered. We deserve each other, and we deserve a second chance. As they sat together by the lake watching the sun begin to set, Jasmine knew they had a fight ahead of them. Mark Davis wouldn't stop. The press wouldn't be kind. There would be questions, judgments, doubts. But for the first time in 7 years, she felt complete. The empty space in her heart that Roman had left behind was filled again. Whatever came next, they would face it together. What they didn't know was that back in Austin, Mark Davis was making one final move against them, one that would test their newfound strength to its limits. And it involved a name from Jasmine's past, a name she hadn't spoken in months. Derek, her ex-boyfriend. Derek Wilson stared at the man sitting across from him in the upscale Austin restaurant. Mark Davis was not what he had expected when he'd received the mysterious email offering him a lucrative opportunity in Texas. Let me get this straight, Derek said, swirling his whiskey. You want me to come back into Jasmine's life and convince her that her neighbor, who happens to be her college boyfriend, is dangerous. That's correct, Mark said smoothly. I've arranged a job for you at my company here in Austin. All you need to do is reconnect with Jasmine, express concern about her new relationship and plant some doubts. Derek laughed. And why would I do that? Jasmine and I broke up months ago. $20,000, Mark said, sliding an envelope across the table. Half now, half when the job is done. Derek's eyes widened. He was still struggling financially after being laid off from his job in Atlanta. $20,000 would solve a lot of problems. What did this guy do to you anyway? Derek asked, pocketing the envelope. Roman Vega is standing in the way of a very important business deal, Mark said. I need him distracted, off balance, and Jasmine is his weak spot. Derek nodded slowly. I'll need a place to stay. Already arranged. Mark handed him a key card. Corporate apartment downtown. Fully furnished. You start Monday. As Derek left the restaurant, he felt a twinge of guilt. Jasmine hadn't been perfect, but she didn't deserve to be manipulated like this. Still, $20,000 was $20,000, and it wasn't like he was going to hurt her, just stir up a little drama. How bad could it be? Jasmine and Roman returned from the lake late that evening. The drive back had been mostly silent, both lost in their own thoughts about the challenges ahead. Stay with me tonight, Roman said as they pulled into his driveway. Please. Jasmine nodded. She didn't want to be alone either. Inside, Roman poured them both a glass of wine. To facing the storm together, he said, raising his glass. Together, Jasmine echoed. As they sat on his couch, Roman's phone rang. He checked the screen and frowned. It's my lawyer. I should take this. While Roman spoke in the other room, Jasmine scrolled through her own phone. The story about Roman's father had already spread online. Comments were divided, some condemning Roman, others defending him once the full context became clear. A text notification appeared from an unknown number. Is he worth it? Watch your back. He's not who you think he is. Jasmine deleted it immediately. More of Mark's intimidation tactics. Roman returned, looking slightly less grim. My lawyer thinks we can get ahead of this. Issue a statement explaining the full context of what happened. My mother has agreed to speak publicly about the abuse she suffered. That's good news, Jasmine said, relieved. It's a start, but Mark won't stop. He's determined to destroy me. Why? Just because you pulled out of his project? Roman shook his head. It goes deeper than that. Our families have been entangled for decades. His father felt betrayed by mine when the affair came to light. And Mark has always seen me as competition. In business, in social circles. He can't stand that I've been more successful than him. So this is all about his wounded ego? And revenge for his family's humiliation. Roman sat beside her, taking her hand. I'm sorry you got caught in the middle of this. I'm exactly where I want to be, Jasmine assured him. The next morning, Jasmine went home to change clothes and check her mail. As she sorted through the pile, her phone rang. Unknown number again. Hello? Jasmine? It's Derek. She nearly dropped the phone. Derek, why are you calling me? I'm in Austin, he said. Got a new job here. I thought maybe we could grab coffee, catch up. I don't think that's a good idea. Come on, Jazz. We ended things amicably, and I could use a friendly face in a new city. Jasmine hesitated. It was true. Their breakup had been mutual without drama, and they had been friends before they were a couple. Just coffee, she said finally. Today at noon, the cafe on 4th Street. After hanging up, she called Roman to tell him about the strange call. Derek, your ex from Atlanta. Roman sounded concerned. What's he doing in Austin? He said he got a new job here. That seems convenient, Roman said. Be careful, Jasmine. This could be Mark's doing. You think he'd go that far? Bring my ex to town? I wouldn't put anything past him. Jasmine considered cancelling the meeting, but curiosity won out. If Mark was behind this, she wanted to know what game he was playing. At noon, she entered the cafe, immediately spotting Derek at a corner table. He looked the same, tall, sandy-haired, with that easy smile that had attracted her initially. Jasmine, he said, standing to greet her. You look great. Thanks. She sat down, keeping her tone neutral. So, new job? Yeah, at a tech company called DigiCreate. Just started yesterday. Jasmine froze. DigiCreate, Mark Davis's company. The same one that had offered her a consulting contract. Interesting, she said carefully. How did you find this job? Derek shifted in his seat. A recruiter reached out. Said they were looking for someone with my skills. The offer was too good to pass up. I bet it was, Jasmine said. Did this recruiter happen to mention why they specifically wanted you, out of all the marketing managers in Atlanta? Derek's smile faltered. What are you getting at, Jazz? DigiCreate is owned by Mark Davis, the same Mark Davis who's currently trying to sabotage my neighbor, Roman Vega, the same Mark Davis who offered me a suspicious consulting contract last week. Jasmine leaned forward. What did he offer you, Derek? Money, a promotion? Derek's face reddened. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Mark hired you to come here and cause problems between me and Roman. Probably told you to warn me about him, right? Plant some doubts. Derek looked away. It's not like that. Then what is it like? After a long pause, Derek sighed. $20,000. Half up front, half when I convinced you to stay away from Roman Vega. Jasmine shook her head in disbelief. Wow. And you took it? I was desperate, Jasmine. After the layoff, I couldn't find work. My savings were gone. I was about to lose my apartment. Derek looked genuinely ashamed. I told myself it wasn't a big deal. Just stir up a little drama, that's all. Well, congratulations, you stirred it up. Jasmine stood to leave. Enjoy your blood money. Jasmine, wait. Derek grabbed her arm. This guy Davis, he's serious, dangerous even. The things he said about your neighbor, the plans he has, I think you might really be in trouble. Jasmine pulled her arm away. What kind of plans? I don't know the details. But he's not just trying to break you two up. He wants to destroy Vega completely, and he doesn't care who gets hurt in the process. A chill ran down Jasmine's spine. Thanks for the warning. Goodbye, Derek. As she left the cafe, Jasmine called Roman. We need to talk. Now. When she arrived at Roman's house, she found him in his office, on the phone. He looked up when she entered, his expression serious. I have to go, he said to whoever was on the line. Keep me updated. What's happening? Jasmine asked as soon as he hung up. Mark's making his move, Roman said grimly. He's calling an emergency board meeting at Digital Front, trying to use the scandal with my father to force me out of other investments. He hired Derek, my ex from Atlanta, Jasmine said, paid him to come here and try to break us up. Roman's jaw tightened. That doesn't surprise me. Mark's always been thorough in his vindictiveness. Derek said Mark has bigger plans, that he wants to destroy you completely. Of course he does. Roman ran a hand through his hair. This isn't just business for Mark anymore, it's personal. What are we going to do? Jasmine asked. Roman was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then a slow smile spread across his face. We're going to give him exactly what he wants. What do you mean? Mark wants us broken up. He wants me distracted, off balance. Roman took her hands. So we'll let him think he's won. Understanding dawned on Jasmine. A trap. Exactly. But I need your help to make it work. They spent the next hour planning. Roman made calls to his lawyer, his PR team, and several business associates. Jasmine contacted Isabel and Claire Vega, explaining what they needed. That evening, Jasmine stood on her front porch pretending to argue loudly with Roman. I can't do this anymore, she shouted, knowing they had an audience. The black sedan was parked down the street, just as they'd expected. "I won't be with someone who lied to me. Jasmine, please," Roman pleaded, playing his part perfectly. "Let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. I saw the video. I know who you really are now." Jasmine turned and went inside, slamming the door for effect. Roman stood on the porch for a moment, looking dejected, then slowly walked back to his house. Once inside, Jasmine peeked through the curtains. The sedan was pulling away, no doubt rushing to report back to Mark that his plan was working. Her phone buzzed with a text from Roman. Phase 1 complete. The next morning, Jasmine made a show of loading boxes into her car, as if she were moving out. She drove to a hotel on the other side of town where Roman was waiting. "Any sign of Mark's people?" he asked when she arrived. "The sedan followed me halfway here, then turned off," Jasmine said. "I think they just wanted to confirm I was leaving." "Good, now we wait." They didn't have to wait long. By afternoon, news outlets were reporting that Roman Vega's girlfriend had left him amid the scandal about his father's death. The stock in Roman's companies took a hit, and rumors spread that he was in seclusion, not answering calls. Mark Davis wasted no time. He called an emergency meeting of the Digital Front Board, presenting a motion to remove Roman's investment fund from all projects. "Roman Vega is a liability," Mark told the board members. "His personal scandal is affecting our stock price. We need to distance ourselves immediately." What Mark didn't know was that 3 of the board members were secretly loyal to Roman. They texted updates throughout the meeting, reporting Mark's every move. "He's overplaying his hand," Roman told Jasmine as they read the messages, "making accusations he can't back up, promising returns he can't deliver." "What happens now?" Jasmine asked. "Now," Roman said, smiling, "we spring the trap." While Mark was still in the boardroom, Roman's lawyer filed an official complaint with the Securities and Exchange Commission, alleging market manipulation and corporate espionage. Roman's PR team released a statement from Claire Vega, detailing the abuse she'd suffered and expressing full support for her son. And most damaging of all, Derek Wilson walked into the boardroom and placed a recording device on the table. "What is this?" Mark demanded. "Insurance," Derek said. "I recorded our conversation at the restaurant, the one where you offered me money to manipulate Jasmine Cole, the one where you talked about your plans to destroy Roman Vega by any means necessary." Mark's face paled. "You're bluffing." Derek pressed play. Mark's voice filled the room. "I don't care what it takes. Vega needs to be ruined. Completely. His reputation, his business, everything. If Cole gets hurt in the process, that's collateral damage." The board members exchanged shocked glances. "You're fired," the chairman said to Mark, "and the board will be cooperating fully with any investigation into your conduct." As security escorted Mark from the building, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Checkmate. R." 3 months later, Jasmine sat on Roman's rooftop garden, watching the sunset over Austin. So much had changed since that dramatic confrontation with Mark Davis. Mark had been removed from all his positions at Davis Enterprises. The SEC investigation had uncovered multiple instances of unethical business practices. He was facing both civil and criminal charges. Derek had returned to Atlanta with a legitimate job offer from one of Roman's associates, a small act of mercy that Jasmine had suggested. Roman's reputation had recovered after the full story of his family's trauma came to light. His mother's courageous public statements had turned the narrative from scandal to a powerful story about breaking cycles of abuse. And Jasmine's design business was thriving. Her showcase at the Austin Arts Foundation had led to more clients than she could handle. She was considering hiring an assistant. "Penny for your thoughts," Roman said, joining her with 2 glasses of champagne. "Just thinking about how different things are now," Jasmine said, accepting a glass. 3 months ago I was ready to hate you forever. Now, Roman prompted, sitting beside her. "Now I can't imagine my life without you." Roman smiled, that same smile that had captured her heart in college. "That's convenient," he said, "because I have something to ask you." He set down his glass and took her hand. "Jasmine Cole, I've loved you for more than 7 years. I loved you even when we were apart. I loved you when I thought I'd never see you again, and I love you now more than ever." Jasmine's heart raced as Roman pulled a small box from his pocket and got down on one knee. "Will you marry me?" Tears filled Jasmine's eyes as she looked at the man before her. Not the polished businessman she'd first encountered when she moved to Austin, but the man underneath. The man who'd faced his past, who'd fought for what was right, who'd never stopped loving her. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I will." As Roman slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms, Jasmine thought about the journey that had brought them here, the pain of his disappearance, the shock of finding him next door, the struggle to forgive, the fight against Mark's schemes. All of it had led to this moment, this perfect moment. Later that evening they walked hand in hand to Jasmine's townhouse. Though she spent most nights at Roman's now, she'd kept her place for her studio. "I was thinking," Roman said as they approached her door, "what if we turned your house into a full art studio? You could have the whole space for your business and live with me." "Are you asking me to move in?" Jasmine teased. "Well, we are engaged now," Roman pointed out, "and my house is much bigger." "True," Jasmine conceded, "but I've grown attached to this place. It's where we found each other again." "We could keep it in the family," Roman suggested. "Isabel's been looking for a place closer to mine. She and the kids could live here." "I'd like that," Jasmine said, imagining Isabel and her children filling the house with life. One big happy family. As they reached her porch, Jasmine noticed something leaning against her door, a large flat package wrapped in brown paper. "What's this?" she asked, picking it up. "Open it," Roman said, his eyes twinkling. Jasmine unwrapped the package to find a painting, a new one. It showed the lake where they'd reconnected, but with an important addition, 2 figures sitting on the shore, hand in hand, watching the sunset. "I commissioned it from one of the artists at the gallery," Roman explained, "to commemorate where we began again." Jasmine traced the figures with her finger. "It's beautiful. I thought we could hang it in our home, a reminder of our journey." "Our home." The words filled Jasmine with warmth. After years of feeling lost, she'd finally found where she belonged. "I love you, Roman Vega," she said, leaning up to kiss him. "And I love you, soon-to-be Jasmine Vega." As they stood on her porch, the painting between them, Jasmine marveled at how life could change so completely. 3 months ago, she'd been starting over, determined to stay alone and heal from her past. Then she'd discovered that the man next door was her first love, the man who'd broken her heart, the man who'd never stopped loving her. And now, against all odds, he was her future. The fence between their yards, the one they'd repaired together, stood as a symbol of their journey. Once broken and dividing them, now mended and connecting their lives, just like their hearts. 6 months later, Jasmine and Roman stood under an arch of flowers at the lakeside where they'd reconnected. Friends and family gathered to witness their vows. Isabel stood as Jasmine's maid of honor, while Claire Vega watched proudly from the front row, her eyes glistening with happy tears. "7 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life," Roman said, his voice carrying across the still water. "I left without saying goodbye, without explaining, without trusting in our love." Jasmine squeezed his hands, encouraging him to continue. "But fate gave us a second chance. It made you my neighbor. It gave me the opportunity to earn back your trust, to show you that I never stopped loving you." Roman's voice broke with emotion. "Today I promise never to leave again, to face whatever comes, good or bad, together, because you, Jasmine Cole, have always been the best part of me." Jasmine wiped away a tear before beginning her own vows. 7 years ago, I thought my heart would never heal. I built walls to protect myself. I convinced myself I was better off alone." She smiled up at Roman. "Then I moved next door to the man who'd broken my heart, the man who, it turns out, had never stopped loving me, the man who taught me that sometimes the things that break us also make us stronger. Today, I promise to trust in our love, to believe in second chances, to remember that what matters isn't the time we lost, but the lifetime we have ahead." Jasmine's voice was steady, sure. "Because you, Roman Vega, were mine first, and now you'll be mine forever." As they exchanged rings and sealed their vows with a kiss, cheers erupted from their guests. The setting sun cast golden light across the lake, the same lake from both paintings, the one Roman had kept all those years, and the new one that now hung in their home. At the reception, Isabel tapped her glass for a toast. "To my brother and his bride," she said, raising her champagne, "who prove that true love doesn't give up. It just takes a detour sometimes." Later, as they danced under the stars, Roman whispered in Jasmine's ear, "Happy?" Jasmine nodded, resting her head on his shoulder. Perfectly happy. And she was. The journey hadn't been easy. There had been pain and misunderstandings, secrets and lies. But through it all, one truth had remained constant: their love for each other. A love that had withstood 7 years of separation. A love that had overcome manipulation and sabotage. A love that in the end had brought them right back where they belonged, together. As the night drew to a close, Jasmine and Roman slipped away from the celebration and walked hand in hand to the edge of the lake. The moon cast a silver path across the water, guiding them forward. "What are you thinking?" Roman asked, his arm around her waist. Jasmine smiled up at him. "I'm thinking that sometimes the hardest journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations." Roman kissed her forehead. "And sometimes the person you're meant to be with has been waiting next door all along." They stood together in comfortable silence, looking out at the lake where their story had both begun and begun again. The past was behind them, the future stretched before them, full of promise. And the present? The present was perfect. The end.